After all this AI talk, AI speech, I'm trying to change the topic now a little bit into the direction of fraud. Of course, AI still plays a very important topic in fraud and in cybercrime and everything what we are doing. In the introduction, you heard that we are investigating cybercrime, we're investigating fraud, and are using this knowledge also to a certain extent. So what I would like to do today is to set a baseline first, so that we are speaking about the same topics. Who are those fraudsters? How are they organized? And then we will bring up a methodology to maybe detect them, check on them, see their activities and prevent them. And I think this would fill the 15 minutes which we actually have today. So let's start with some basics. Yesterday I had a good conversation with a new friend of mine about fraudsters and whether they are actually smart or not and what they are doing. Another friend of mine, Julian, who was previously working in Swift in the counter-crime and counter-cybercrime area, he likes to tell a story about Nigerian scammers. How many of you had a wonderful job offer or business proposal from a Nigerian scammer in the mailbox? Yeah, everyone. Did you see that they actually make mistakes in those emails, right? Typos and things like that. You know that it's on purpose, right? It's not that they are stupid or don't know what they are doing or how to do it. It's a filter. So they don't want to have victims who have an eye for details and attention for details. Because they invest their own time, their own effort into running the schemes, running the scams. And if there is someone in their pipeline who has actually an attention to detail, then after a while he will actually drop out, right? So they want to filter those out, and only people who don't see that the email is drafted poorly, yeah, they are the better victims for them. That's just a filter. So don't think they are stupid, they're well organized. And most scammers and fraudsters are as well organized. So here you see actually a couple of, let's say, job categories in which they divide themselves. So a fraudster who is accessing your platform, he's not doing all the job by himself. He's not sitting alone in his room, typing, doing things, and trying to defraud people. But he is fulfilling a specific job or a specific business within the entire ecosystem. So one, for example, reconnaissance services. Those are people who just look at your platforms to find out, okay, when I register my account and I do it in a specific way, can I circumvent KYC? If I run certain activities, will I be detected and blocked? How does the web application actually look like? Are there certain scripts running? What is actually going on there? So they collect intelligence, a database of information about web applications, about sites, about portals, and then they sell this onwards to other people who can then in the chain start to exploit what they have found. Yeah, so they specialize very narrowly on it. And such specialization can be found all over the place. There are malware developers. Of course, if someone is using malware, in most cases, he's not developing it by himself. He's buying it, he's renting it, he's using it, licensing it, receiving actually very good customer support from malware developers themselves who are specialized in that. And by that also, they divide the responsibility and the risk. Yeah, so being caught for developing malware is one sentence. Being caught for using malware is another sentence. You don't want to get both sentences if you get caught. That's a lot. Yeah, so better split the risk here and the responsibility here. Scam call center provider, same thing. Yeah, you build up a call center. You enable people to work there. We have seen cases and investigated cases where in the end, together with law enforcement, we managed to dissolve a scam call center. And people who worked there, they actually thought they worked for an actual company, for an actual bank or for an e-commerce store or something else. They even had labor agreements with the logos on it and everything. Yeah, so you can imagine how motivated and convincing they were on their scam calls because they actually thought they worked for this company. Yeah, but scam call center providers were just abusing them. Money muling. Yeah, and AML, that's a specific, very, very different world from everything else. So someone who is developing malware or running fraudulent schemes, he doesn't know how to do it properly in most cases. He needs someone to actually do it from him. Yeah? So we have a division of different responsibilities. Important also for the rest of the presentation are those scam factories, which you see here. Scam factories are, I would say, more brains behind different schemes. So they are inventing scripts for call centers. How do I run my call? Yeah. They are inventing specific modus operandi to run multi-accounting on specific platforms if they are set in a certain way. Right? So there are guys who invent ideas, like in Ocean's 11, right? There is one guy who invents the entire plan, and then he has 11, 12, 13 people who are executing upon it. And that's the same thing. So there's one guy who invents a scheme, and then he sells the idea on to others on different business models. Sometimes it's profitability, so if you make money with the scheme, he gets a piece of it. Sometimes it's more on, I buy a script from you, pay you for that, and we never talk to each other again. Then let's turn this a little bit around and have a look how we look on fraud. Right? So when we see an intruder, he's attacking different platforms in different ways. Let's stay, for example, with the malware case. He's using malware in one institution, in one company. The company detects it, the company starts to block it. And then he just goes on to the next one and does the exact same thing. Because what the scammers are doing and the fraudsters are doing, and we are usually not, is exchanging this information. So when one victim got attacked, other victims, or future victims, most certainly don't even know about that. So there's a lack in sharing of intelligence, sharing of information, which would make it for the fraudsters even more expensive and difficult to get to their wins. When we look at the fraud or the scams in your industry specifically, I just mapped a couple of them here. Yesterday was a nice panel downstairs in the auditory about and Alexandre mentioned a few of those fraud cases which he is seeing in his business, for example. I put them also in here, and there are way more. I will just pick a few of them, also from conversations which I had here at the event, to focus a little bit on them and talk a little bit about them and how they're going. What I would like to suggest every time when we speak about a scheme, also think how it's possible to detect the scheme and to prevent it. There are actually 4 stages in a scam or in a fraud attack on which something can be detected. For example, on the web app and the mobile, someone is opening a website, the website of your platform or your mobile app, and we can already start to collect data. What is his device? Where is he coming from? Was he redirected from another page, for example, from a phishing page? What can we see on the operation system? Is there malware on his device? So there's lots of things we can see when he just starts to log in. And most importantly, we can start to analyze whether it's a human or a bot. Humans have one behavior, one setup. Bots, of course, a very different one. Then we have the login stage. So now they finally, first they enter the platform, then they start to log in. And on the login stage, we can again find different things. First of all, now we know which player or which gamer it is, because he starts to log in. Before that, we don't know yet, but there we know. Then we can also start to look at login biometrics. How is he typing? How is he moving his mouse? How is he clicking? That's very unique from individual to individual. This can be tracked and many, many, many other things. Is the geolocation changing from the moment when he accessed your platform and then at the moment at the login? So many things that can be tracked. Continuous monitoring of behavior. Every human has patterns he's following. Nobody in the room can tell me that every time I'm going on a website, I'm doing different things. Usually, you know already, I'm gonna click here, I'm gonna click there, then I start this, then I do that, and you repeat this. So this can be tracked on the user side, but on the other hand side, you remember the scam factories? They build scripts how fraudsters and scammers should behave to stay under the radar. We can then compare now the knowledge of scripts which has been collected, and then the behavior of the user in the platform itself, and can see, okay, is it the standard behavior he is doing? And if not, is this behavior similar or pretty close to something that is scripted? And can make decisions from there. And then, of course, in the end, we can check transactions when someone is cashing out or cashing in or whatever else. What I'm trying to deliver with this is something like know your gamer in the sense, but from a technical aspect, from a device perspective as well. And this will be then important when we look at how things can actually be detected. So you see here many, many parameters which can be collected to know and distinguish at least devices and then also individuals by themselves. It can be graphic cards, it can be CPUs, how many cores, which applications do you have on your phone, and many, many things. And with this knowledge, we can then go into the schemes themselves. Yesterday, Alexander, for example, mentioned the usage of stolen cards. It's not the only use case which we are seeing across the industry. We see also card testing. Someone is purchasing or stealing a bunch of cards, and then he wants to know how many of them actually work. And one way to do that is he can write a script and use them across different accounts on a platform, just with small payments, like €1 here, €5 there, or something like this. If the card works, he has his result and can start using it later on. Yeah? So instead of manually checking 100, 200, 500, 1,000 cards, he's automating this entire process. And now you remember behavior analysis, and is it a human, is it a bot, is it the same guy or not, is it a legitimate user? When you see that a script is actually triggering all this, he's not doing this manually again, but he's doing this with a script, with an automated script, they don't act like users. They click differently. When they come from a VPN, for example, we see it. When they come from Tor, we see it. Yeah, so they try to mask themselves as well. And then just by the difference, a bot, a robot is behaving different than we do. Yeah? So this is a way to be able to detect it. And then remember the device fingerprint. Usually they are using the same device to do that. Yeah? So the same device, run the script, and the script is going all across the platform. And when you see that one device is accessing 100 accounts, or maybe only 5 accounts, and is checking different cards on it, or changing the cards all the time with the same device, then something is wrong, right? So just look at the device and you can even uncover something like that. Free bets, multi-accounting, same idea. Yeah? Multi-accounting is all across the place. Usually fraudsters don't have 1 million devices sitting around. Yes, they have many of them, and we see already lots of factories in Asia where they have a wall full of mobile devices, but they're still repeating. They're not just doing one activity. They're repeated and repeated and repeated. And when you are able to, even through proxies and VPNs, to actually see those devices and understand that it's the same thing, and see then a nice, beautiful graph, it tells you, okay, this device is accessing 100 accounts on my platform. Or in the next step, is accessing 2 accounts on this platform I own, 3 accounts on this one, 2 accounts on this one. Yeah, and then you can see, okay, why is he using my platforms from one device with multiple accounts, maybe even multiple identities, and start to draw conclusions coming from there. Yeah, and with those free bets and this multi-accounting cases, they always set up multiple accounts with the same device. Another thing, betting arbitrage. I guess many of you have heard about this already. Yeah, there are bots sitting on the sides and are analyzing mainly 2 things, 2 categories. Right? They want to see across different platforms in betting who has the better odds and where bets can be placed, yeah, to achieve the best result and sell this information. Yeah, that's one thing. The other thing is, can I find, and here AI also starts to come into the game, but mainly algorithms. If I look at all those platforms, can I find bets where if I place a win on this side, on this guy, and a lose for the same guy on another side, that the odds are in a specific balance which make me win anyways. Yeah. And those sites are actually selling this kind of data, yeah, and make nice money with it. There are lots of them. You can even get a free trial, test it, and see whether it works for you or not, and try the value from there. Here, the multi-accounting approach goes together with the bot detection. Nobody is going manually through all the odds and is mapping them on his blank note or something like this. They are using a bot to scrape this data, push the data formalized into another script, and the script is doing the cross-relations, cross-checking. Machine learning is in it, of course, as well. Yeah? So there, again, we look at the session. Yeah? The bot is coming in, we understand it's a bot, the bot is scraping data from the site, and we can already draw conclusions from there. Chip dumping, I don't have too much time. I will skip this one if you don't mind. Yeah? Then you can come on to me later and have a conversation with me. I wanted to go also into the muling aspect a little bit. I spoke about multi-accounting a lot now and about device fingerprints. What you can see on those graphs, that's actually a financial institution. Yeah? It's not your industry. But we see devices, lots of phones, and all those little people icons, they are actually accounts, user accounts. So you see that this phone is accessing tons of accounts, and there is an overlap with other phones who also access lots of accounts. And when you start to ask the question, why is it like that? Yeah? Why are they all accessing the same accounts and many, many of them, and start to look into them, then you can also start to see how they move money between each other and move money out. And the money you see is very often, most of the time, related to fraudulent activities. In the financial industry, it's a bit more hardcore because they are now starting about financing terrorism through those networks, and then the banks are super scared because that's really real fines. The last point, global device ID. So here, you remember in the beginning when I showed the slide with many, many different companies and one intruder who's trying to do the same thing across them. So here is a sharing element which we are missing all across very many different industries. When we flag a device fraudulent in one place, why not share it across others? Yeah? If you, for example, in your business own a lot of different sites, a lot of different businesses, and you flag one device fraudulent in one place, flag it fraudulent in the other ones as well. Yeah? Share this information. And then maybe even do it within the industry. If the industry is able to take a flagged fraudulent device and ban it on all pages in the same moment, then the fraudster gets a real kick in the ass. Yeah, then he has to invest into more devices, more phones, and his business becomes less profitable and less profitable until he moves on or he gives up or he finds something else to do in his life. Good. That's my 15 minutes, guys. Just giving you a little bit of an understanding of the language we would like to speak and possibilities which are out there, schemes which are out there. I'm here for the end of the day, and we'll have hopefully a few more drinks in the evening. So if you have questions or want to talk about it, just come to me. Thanks.